right, Keller Williams. We are taking care of business today with a great topic, a great segment focused on pipeline management by one of the best to do it, Eric Uchbar. We'll get to him ASAP. Before we start with anything else, though, want to revisit or have a visit about our beliefs. I am fresh off my trip to Anaheim to participate in Family Reunion 2023. And a lot of really outstanding stuff. I think it was 15 or 20,000 folks were there for Family Reunion. Excellent panels, Gary in top form, and a pretty outstanding keynote as well. We talked about a lot of things throughout our time there, but one that kept coming back as a differentiating factor for us as an organization, for our agents, for our market center, for our company as a whole, is our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective, and the beliefs being the Y4C2T. So I'm not going to talk about a specific one today, but just a reminder that, if we focus on and work to live up to these things, our businesses and our lives will grow and thrive regardless of the market. And you saw us start it last year, and we will continue to put this front and center as an organization. Let's talk about career nights and getting more people involved with the best place to work and the best place to do business, which is Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. We have our second of 2 career nights in the month of February coming up next Monday, so 6 days on the 27th. It's going to be in Rocky River. It will be live and in person, and it will also be Zoomed. So if there's anyone you would like to invite, Carrie just dropped the link in the chat, and you can also just connect them with myself or Eddie Donnelly, and we will make sure that they get there and they get everything that they need. All right, so guys, next week is March. March is next week. How crazy is that? And we've had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of great stuff on the calendar, and wanted to pause and recognize the folks who got out to a great start with closings and listings taken this year. I'll call your attention to a guy who's going to talk about managing your pipeline and finding success through focusing on that. Is both the top listing taker and one of the top closers for the month of January. And I doubt those things popped up on January 1st. I want to give a shout out to the Citrina Young Real Estate Group, as well as the North Star team with strong performances in listings taken and closings. And then the Golden Group, 11 closed units in the month of January. Huge start there. And the List Sell Buy team with 6 listings taken in the month of January. So yet another big start. So talk about what we are putting on the calendar to make sure that we keep this momentum for a great year set up. Next week this week on the 22nd, that is tomorrow, we are going to be hosting a really exciting 2 hours of CE. So for anybody who is renewing their license at any point in the next 9 months, this is a great opportunity for you to snag some CE. And for anybody who is not getting what they need out of their database, wants to think about how they are marketing and communicating with their sphere, the people they're connected to digitally, this is an outstanding way to get your head wrapped around some of the strategy, get your head wrapped around some of the content, and make it easy to start doing it. You can be a buyer's agent or a seller's agent. You can be a luxury agent or a commercial agent, but the only thing that we ask you not be is a secret agent. And so leveraging social media to tell people and remind them and make sure that they're aware that you are in real estate is one of the easiest and best ways to get business. 47% of buyers and 43% of sellers found their realtor through a referral from a friend, a family member, or a neighbor, right? So the people you know need to know you're in real estate, and this is a great way to take advantage of that. As we make our way into March, it is listing season. So we got one of our top listers to agree to an awesome session that he is going to absolutely crush. I know he will. I think Larry took 58 listings last year, and he's going to walk us through exactly what his listing presentation looks like. What is the pre-listing? What is the time on site? It will be live and in living color for anyone who is like, oh, I wish I could see like what a listing looked like, or I wish I could like, hear that conversation or shadow somebody. This is in effect going to be that opportunity. And Larry is going to crush it. And then we have our investor mastermind meeting on March 15th. And we're going to welcome a really outstanding individual inside of our company by the name of Justin Oliver. He's the team leader for an office in Metro Detroit, and has made investing a big part of how he builds relationships and how he builds wealth. And so Justin's going to be taking the trip down to Cleveland to hang out with us live and in living color and talk about mastering the MREI. That's the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, and ensure that that is going to be, make sure that that's on your calendar. It's going to be a real fun day. He's a great presenter. He loves to teach, and you will not walk away with less than a dozen good gems. All right. So let's kick it around the horn to the partners quickly, and then we will get on with getting Eric in a position to have everyone's pipelines bursting at the seams. I saw a couple of the guys from cross country pop on here. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Very good. Good to see you, Mike. Thanks for having us, as always. So a bit more upward pressure. So just touch on interest rates real quick. We closed out January feeling pretty good about ourselves. The wind was at our back. Momentum kind of pushing a 30-year rate under 6%, but it's been everything in the opposite direction since the Fed meeting, and then the jobs numbers, and then some somewhat soft improving inflation numbers have kind of pushed rates back up in the mid and high sixes. I just did a quick search on our go-to for national averages for rates. The 30-year national average right now is at 6.8%. So that is a pretty stiff turnaround. And April 15th is a big date. Mentioned to everybody on the last few meetings that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were implementing their loan level pricing adjustments. The new credit score, A+ went from 740 to 780. So basically any closing that happens after April 15th are going to see these new pricing adjustments. So as everybody's putting together their contracts and offers, the 15th should be, have a conversation with your loan officer, or obviously if it's the three of us, always put in a quick call just to kind of, get into this in a little bit more detail. But conventional transactions, in most cases, we're going to want to see those close before April 15th. We'll go into a bit more detail in the next couple of meetings on that. With this switch over, you'll see a lot more people maybe considering FHA loans because they don't have these pricing adjustments. And we'll talk a bit more about FHA in meetings to come, but just don't be afraid of FHA. Yes, the appraiser is going to take a little bit closer look regarding the condition of a home, but it's about 1 out of every 8 appraisals that come back with some sort of FHA repair. And typically they're minimal, handrail, broken window, a GFCI outlet. But if you've got something specific you want to address, just always feel free to reach out to us. Went a little long there, Mike, so I apologize. But Chris,
no, that's terrific.
Oh, just wanted to mention, I think you mentioned in a meeting or two ago, but first-time home buyers that are under the area median income are able to avoid these loan level pricing adjustments, which is awesome, especially, first-time home buyers, home ready, home possible was always there. Now they've kind of opened it up to a lot more people. So Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's any first-time home buyer making below $85,000 is going to see a better interest rate than most of their peers.
Mhm.
Yeah, that, I can tell you what we are going to see over the course of the next several months is very different than what the market we lived in for the last 24 months is. And I say that specifically about mortgage, right? Low interest rates and cash offers and those things were the market of the 24 months ago. But understanding FHA to VA to buying down points and seller concessions, we're gonna need mastery around those things, and I'm gonna offer it up because I know they're comfortable with it. Like when you're talking to somebody who's a first-time home buyer, folks, and you maybe don't feel really confident, pop on a call with one of these guys and get the lowdown on the right questions to ask, or get them plugged directly into Sean or Dawn or Chris, because having interested, ready and willing buyers is good, but the mortgage world is what makes them able to buy. And so if we can master that, or leverage a great partnership to do so, that's going to be awesome. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right, GM title and escrow. I saw Jade on.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, I should say. I am going to talk to you guys today about any clients that are going to be out of the country at the time of signing. So when you guys are dealing with those clients, please let us know right from the beginning. There's a couple of different factors that go into the method that we need for them to sign. Are they a U.S. citizen and they're just out of the country, or are they a foreign client and they are also out of the country as well? If they are, it just kind of depends on the way that we need them to sign. It depends, can we sign them via RON, so remote online notarization, or do they have to actually go to the embassy or the U.S. consul to get an appointment to sign those docs? If they do, we'll probably need to make those arrangements earlier in the process. So just let us know, and we can kind of go from there. Because like I said, every situation is different, but we would like to get that situated earlier than later. So just something to keep in mind. And if you have any questions about any current deals you're working on that this affects, please give me a call and let me know. And that's all I got for you guys today.
Thank you so much. Over to Gina with America's preferred home warranty.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm seeing a lot of classes about creating a database or managing a database, creating a pipeline. I'd like to talk about very briefly protecting your pipeline and your database through our home warranty program and how important that is. Number one, it gives you the assurance for 1 year for you and your client that they're protected. Number two, it keeps you in consistent contact if there's a problem. And as your trusted warranty provider, I'm here to make you look good for the next year. I will remedy any issues that arise in that first year. We know that if customers do open claims, you actually get notified if they open them. So that puts you in direct contact with your client for life. We know that 80% of clients have a major failure in the first 30 days. So I implore everybody, if you don't put a warranty on, you become the home warranty. And you do not want to become the home warranty. So let me do the heavy lifting. I'm here for all of you. I'm dedicated as your trusted provider. I'm here to take those burdens off you and your clients. Please put a home warranty on it. Protect that database. Protect that pipeline for the next year. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that is most material in the impact of interest rates moving around is affordability. And look, many years ago, Gary Keller set out to build an organization that would allow people to be their client's realtor for life, right? And a great opportunity is, there's a great opportunity in leveraging the home warranty as a part of the maintaining and protecting that relationship, because as affordability gets squeezed, right, and it's more more of my monthly economics are going towards housing. Any cataclysmic failure, right? Any joys of home ownership, we'll call them, that aren't under warranty can become pretty devastating to your client. And you know, it's a great conversation to have, and you can come from contribution with it. So if you're not comfortable talking about it, you don't know how to talk about it, when to talk about it, how do I talk about it to a buyer or a seller, please leverage Gina for some scripts and dialogues and some opportunities to get some additional support there. So
I appreciate that, Michael. And I'm also happy if you want to call me while you're in front of your client. I'm also available on evenings to, you know, just pop into the call with you if you need it. But we appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
You bet. All right. And I don't think I saw Jess on the line. So that is going to bring us to our guy, bringing to the spotlight of your Zoom, Mr. Eric Uchbar. Many of you know that he is the productivity coach in our Pepper Pike office. But as if you didn't know, you learned earlier that he is also a top agent in our office. So he sells, and he sells a lot, and he's got a lot going on. And so I imagine we're going to hear about how a pipeline helps him keep it all straight. So Eric, I am going to zip it and mute myself and let you take it away, my friend.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. Really excited about this session. It's one of my favorite topics. Mindset's up there as well. But the first note that I have today, and I hope everybody's got their notebooks out ready to go. The first thing that I want to talk about is a story actually from when I was a car mechanic. I was a car mechanic in Chagrin Falls, and one of our customers we had a bakery right down the street from us, and I'll never forget driving his Volkswagen. I don't even know. I think it was a Jetta wagon. I know it was a wagon for sure, but either way, you'd get into it and it smelled nothing but bread. And I would drive him back and forth when he would drop his car off or his company vehicles off. And we were driving back together one day, picking up one of his vehicles to get work done. And I shared with him that, hey, I'm actually not going to be a mechanic much longer. I'm going to be getting into the real estate industry. And he goes, that's really interesting, Eric. He goes, one of the girls that works for me wants to get into the real estate industry. The guy was one of those guys who was really much just right to the point. Didn't really have much room to sugarcoat things. And he goes, yeah, she's going to fail. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Why do you think she's going to fail? And he goes, Eric, she does nothing but focus on one task at a time. And he said, as a realtor, he goes, I have a lot of friends that are realtors. I own my own business. I've done well to this point. He goes, I know that to be a realtor, you have to have multiple irons in the fire. And she's not going to be able to track multiple irons in the fire. That's going to be her challenge. And I thought about that for quite some time. And I thought, well, what does that mean? Because when I got into real estate, I didn't even realize I was getting into a sales position, believe it or not. I thought I was going to be investing in real estate, which I didn't end up doing, but I think we all get the point there. So his point is we have to have a lot of people we're talking to. And this is something that I talk to my coaching clients very often about. If you've coached with me, this is going to be nothing new, maybe a great refresher for you. Yet it's something that's so super essential. I'm actually going to be sharing some numbers today. I've pulled up previous agents one-on-ones, what are called 411s, which is their daily activity report going back from their very first day sitting down with me to where they're at today. And showing you where they went from an agent who may have been never capping before to having a phenomenal year where they could have capped 2 to 3 times if we had that ability, in 1 year where they've capped in less than a month. I can show you all these different examples, and we'll talk about how that works. But anyways, let's start off with this definition for your notes, which is going to be what is a pipeline? So I want everybody to write this down specifically. A pipeline is a list of potential prospects that you believe will be transacting with you in the next year. I'm going to repeat that. A list of potential prospects that you believe will be transacting with you in the next year. Now, notice I did not say people that you have signed with you. I didn't say a list of everybody that you know. This is a list of potential prospects that you believe will be transacting with you in the next year. Now, this I'm hoping is going to be an interactive session today. So if you have your chat box up or you're unmuted, feel free to chime in at any time. You can ask questions. I will be asking questions both to people that possibly can't speak back, or any of you that can, go ahead and type in the chat, or again, speak up. But what do you think the biggest problem agents have with that specific example? Where do they misalign from that statement? A list of prospects that we believe will transact with us in the next year. I tell them, go create this list, and a week from then they come back and they have a problem. What do you think that problem is?
Following up with them.
Following up. I appreciate that. And yes, we will be talking about follow-up momentarily. That's actually a really good answer, and not the one I'm looking for specifically in this moment. Yeah, we will be talking about that today. It's very long. We can see that. Any other guesses that I see? A lot of agents will come back to me, and when it is very long, and they put down 20, 30, 40 people, which is phenomenal, I will inspect what I expect. The opposite that they have is they go, Eric, I have 2. And I go, well, what were you doing all week? Were you talking with people? And they go, yeah, I have a whole list of people that, they've told me that they either have another realtor or, Kathy, eliminate folks unnecessarily. Yes, we have that often as well. And they'll come back and they'll say, well, Eric, there's a lot of people, they're going to be transacting. I just don't know if they're going to transact with me. Or, I found out that, they're not pre-approved yet. I found out that before they sell, they're going to be doing ABC items. And I go, that is your pipeline. That is specifically it. I'll never forget Tammy Young's talking about her story. That was one of our Bold coaches who taught me, and you can write this down. After taking Bold 3 times, I finally got this, which is there is magic in the follow-up. You should actually highlight that and underline it. There is magic in the follow-up. And she said that she was cleaning out her car one day, and I'm sorry, she paid her son to clean out her car one day, and he found a little piece of paper under the passenger seat that said, Sally buyer, $600,000 home looking in these specific areas. And he goes, Mom, were you looking for this? And he handed it over to her. And as soon as she goes, oh my gosh, I completely forgot, he grabbed it back and he goes, that's going to cost you $6,000. And then jokingly handed it back to her. The point being is, if we're not paying attention to these people and following up with them and actually have a structured list somewhere that we can look at on a daily basis, they are going to be that note underneath the passenger seat of our vehicle that we're going, shoot, that happened. And then guess what? We see that they transact on Facebook and we get all upset that they didn't call us when we knew better. We knew we should have reached out to them. This can be even individuals that we believe should be transacting for whatever reason. Maybe they got a job promotion. How often do you think buyers who get large job promotions actually end up buying a home in the next 6 months or a year? It often happens. So if you see somebody posting on Facebook, I think that would be Instagram, whatever it might be. I think that would be a really good opportunity for you to congratulate them and just genuinely just get into a conversation with them. It doesn't even have to be around real estate, but make sure that you are in their realm of realtors that they're going to be reaching out to when that time comes. So again, when we get to that list of potential prospects we believe will transact with us, I want you to underline and circle we believe. All right. Moving on to the next notes. Is a pipeline a database? That's the next question I normally get. Who knows the answer to that? I have a follow-up question for whoever volunteers. part of database. Jane says, thank you, Jane. So they are, Jane's answer is exactly right. The pipeline is going to be a part of our database. We can't have a database that's that's smaller than our pipeline, because everybody that we know is in our database, and only the specific people that we believe will transact with us are in our pipeline. The answer is those are two separate lists though. One is going to be people that we know are going to be buying in the next year. The other list is just everybody that we know. So often, that is another item that I'll get back to Jane's first item is it's too long. It's just a list of people that we know. That's not what we're looking for as well, because when we get to a pipeline that's way too big, we have to figure out a way to actually condense it so we can actually follow up. As we heard before, we have to be making sure that we're doing our follow-up. So we'll talk about how we can actually do it. All right, so what does the pipeline look like physically? If you do need, I will put my email in the chat, and you can email me pipeline. And before you send me an email, I'm going to make some requirements here. When you go into our pipeline, I can go into it and actually, I can share what we have for you. The only requirement is if you are requesting it, I am requesting that number one, you use it, or number two, if you don't like it, you are going to send it to somebody that will use it. That's my only requirement. I don't want a bunch of people that are taking the pipeline and not using it and actually implementing it as we know. So, but feel free to go ahead and shoot me an email. I'm happy to share that with you, so that you can use it. If you are already in Command and you have all of your tags set up, use it there. I'll go back to Gary Keller's definition though, and I'll make my pipeline very similar to that. But lead generation is simply anything that creates a lead. Your pipeline, I don't care what you use, as long as you have a pipeline, you can use it. Again, Command, you can do this in, you can do it in Excel. You can do it if you're unfamiliar with any technology whatsoever, write it down on a piece of paper. Not a loose leaf piece of paper, have some type of pipeline journal, if you will, or on the back of your journal. You can actually have your list of your current prospects. Believe it or not, one of our top teams in Northeast Ohio was operating that way. His name is Michael Kame. Back about 14, 15 years ago, I remember in the back of his legal pad that he would carry with him was every single person that he was following up with. Pretty simple. Now this is, again, 15 years ago, computer, internet, CRMs were all around. He was still going that way. I don't know if he still does or not, but he was operating over $30 million a year. I think that works just fine. You can write this down, and I use this all the time. Complexity is the enemy of execution. So if you're like, I would really like to learn Excel, or I'd really like to learn Command before I get started, no, that is not the way we're going to do this. We're going to come up with this list, and then we can modify with Excel, with Command, with anything else. But we need a list of prospects to put in there first. So why is a pipeline actually important? I have a couple of notes here. You can write this down. Number one, if we don't organize it, we don't know where we will be. Honestly, this is one of the number one reasons why agents have what I call glass ceilings. I remember, I can give you, Jennifer Galletti was an agent who capped. Congratulations, she capped, we're high-fiving. She was not coaching yet with me. It was really exciting to see what she did. She then had 1 month. The very next month, she had 0 close. The following month, 0 close. The following month, 0 close. We sat down, and we actually, our first exercise was to draft her entire pipeline. Following month, she focused on her pipeline. She grew it. She made $9,000. The following month, she made, I think it was 13 or 16,000. That's not by chance. It's by design. We need to organize it so that we know who we're following up with, because if not, we're going to keep hitting that glass ceiling. We can only memorize so many people. One thing that I do when we do a 2-hour session on this is I'll actually ask you, write down every buyer that you currently can think of right now. Everybody comes up with 5, 10, 15 buyers. And now agents that I coach with will bring those numbers out, and they will show me, I have 123 buyers, I have 82 buyers, I have 42 buyers, whatever the numbers are, they are actually using those, and we can actually see exactly where they stand, and they know who to follow up with. So the other part of this that that's very helpful along with this first point is we're going to be able to predict our income. You can write this down. Your bank account leads to your pending deals. By the way, most agents just go off their bank account. Like they're like, oh, that's how much money I'm making. That's how much money I have to spend. Agents that I coach go way deeper into this. We have a pending deal category. Our pending deals then lead to our pipeline, and then our pipeline is going to lead to our lead generation efforts. So we're going to actually go down that trail. So again, our bank account leads to our pending deals leads to our pipeline, and our pipeline comes from our lead generation. So yeah, we want to make sure we understand that, because if we can track our lead generation efforts, we can then track our pipeline and see if we're growing it. If we're tracking our pipeline, we're going to be able to track our pending deals. Our pending deals are then going to lead to our bank account. So even when I watch an agent and I'm coaching an agent and I hear them panicking, it's not because of a lack of pending deals. It is because of a lack of pipeline. There's a big difference there. A lot of agents who have been in the business a long time know that, hey, I've got 3 pending deals. I'm feeling pretty good. They close those 3 pending deals and all of a sudden they're panicking. They don't have the money. Agents who I have a strong pipeline go, I have 0 pending right now, but I know I have 6 on the way. And that's fine. We know that we can actually track that. So back to, I skipped a point here I started to get on to, which is what does a pipeline look like specifically? You can write down these different categories that you have to track. Number 1 is obviously their name. Number 1 is their name. Secondly is going to be some type of list of address or wants, because if it's a seller, we need their address that they're going to be selling. If it's a buyer, we're going to need a list of like where they're looking to move. Number 3 is going to be a motivation tab. We need to know how motivated they are on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 to 10. If we watch your pipeline growing like crazy, and let's say in a month you go from 0 to 40 people in your pipeline, you may have a lot of people who are low in motivation, which is going to be able to tell me, hey, you're doing it right. We just have to figure out a way to either change their motivation or find new buyers to replace them with if they cannot change their motivation. Because if not, we're going to not see the normal statistics that we're going to see across the rest of the coaching clients. Another list, we need a list for notes. One of the whole point of the pipeline is so that we have a list of follow-up. So is it valuable to know what your last conversation was with that person? This is why I do like Excel a lot, or Google Sheets, or Command. Any 3 of those are the best because you can actually track what your last exact conversation was. And it's not just like, hey, I talked to them and they don't want a 3-bedroom house, they want a 4-bedroom house. More importantly is I talked to them and they were having trouble with their lender getting at the interest rate they wanted. And now I know when I talk to that person next, or when I'm going through my pipeline and I'm going, okay, here I'm at Bill, I need to follow up with Bill. He wants to lower interest rates. Well, guess what? Interest rates ended up getting lower, or interest rates went up. I should have a conversation with him about interest rates if that's his concern, not just have him as another line item to say, hey, are you looking to buy today? Also, what's going on in their personal life? We have to show that we're caring about them. Maybe they don't want to get out of, they don't want to buy until they're done with baseball season for their kids. Perfect. I can follow up with them 2 weeks before, a month before that happens. Maybe they're talking about somebody in their family is sick. Make that note so we can actually track that and know what that last conversation was about. That goes a long way with them. So we already talked about name, address, motivation level, and notes. You can also have what I call a care, trust, and help column. So CHT, we call that. Care, help, and trust. And what I do is from time to time, I'll rank how much do they think I care about them, how much do I think I'm actually helping them, and how much do I know that they trust me. Now, an open house buyer may not trust me because they met me 5 minutes ago. Maybe I have to learn how to figure out a way to gain more trust with them. And what does that look like? You'll know by the conversations by ranking those 3 columns a 0 out of 10, and it'll be very blatantly obvious where you have to grow with them. And it helps with motivation, because if we watch somebody that has a 9 in a motivation and I'm a 2, 2, and a 2 on care, trust, and help. I have to figure out a way to get those care, trust, and helps up to 8, 9, 10. And if I can get those, they're going to work with me. It's a motivated buyer, and I know that they're going to know I'm going to care about them. I can help them, and that they can trust me. That's what we have to do. Trust is a very difficult one. It grows with honesty, as we know from our wall outside, and it grows through time as well. You can't force somebody to trust you. It's done through a genuine way over time of making sure you're advising them in the best way possible for them and their family, not to your commission check. That's one thing that always makes me concerned when an agent, I'm hearing, Eric, I need to get 3 pending deals by the end of the month because I'm not going to be able to make my payments. I don't care, unfortunately, about your payments. I care about your clients and making sure that your clients are getting what they need, getting the service they need, and are providing the very best value. That will then lead to making sure that you will be able to make your payments. You will be able to buy everything that you need. Zig Ziglar used to say, if I help everyone get what they want, I can have everything that I want. And that's the whole point. We have to be helpful to them first. All right, back to your notes. We talked about why are pipelines important. We talked about organizing it and how the bank account goes to pending deals, pipeline, and lead generation efforts. The second item is going to be if agents don't organize a pipeline, they experience a ceiling. So if you feel like you're experiencing a ceiling, it's probably because you are not tracking your pipeline. I started giving the example of how we might have 20 people that we can memorize. If you can only memorize 20 people and you're an experienced agent and you're always doing X amount per year, it's probably because there are people that are lying underneath your passenger seat. Sounds very odd, but you get my point. Back to Tammy's note, right? That there's all those notes that are flying around in our mind or underneath our passenger seat of our cars, or in our notebook somewhere that we're not tracking. We need to make sure that we are looking at this pipeline daily. You're going to hear me say that a couple of times. Number 3 is going to be wasting your time with lead generation. Sounds very odd. I hope I woke some of you up with that. And I heard this from a top agent years ago. If you don't have a great lead follow-up system, you are wasting your time lead generating. And I'll say that again. If you don't have a great lead follow-up system, you are wasting your time lead generating. It is the equivalent of what we call hole-in-ones when if you ever come upstairs and prospect. And the problem is in golf, if you were to watch a golfer hit a golf ball and drive a 300-yard drive, great drive, walk over to it and go, didn't get in the hole, let's pick it up and move to the next hole, you would call them crazy. The equivalent goes with our pipeline. It's about hitting the ball closer to the hole every time. Luckily, we're not tracked in real estate how many times that we have to hit the ball and that we have to get a birdie or a par or something like that. All we have to do is make sure that it gets in the hole. So by tracking our pipeline, we're going to keep hitting those conversion ratios, and it's going to help us in a big way. If you came to what was the session called that we had about a month ago, it was one of our regional events. I'm drawing a blank on it. It was held over in Independence, and they talked about the conversion rates, that the majority of time, it's the 6th, 8th, 10th time, the conversion rates go way up. Thank you, Carrie. Shift into overthrive is what it was. But yeah, once you're in after 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 conversations with people, that's when they start to convert with you. So if we can convert by having more conversations, it's going to help in a big way. It's often, just like I say, with for sale by owners or expireds, if you call them one time, they're going to forget your name. But by the 5th, 6th, 7th call of value, then all of a sudden they start to remember your name. They're picking up the phone going, hey, Eric, what's going on today? They already know your name. They know your number. That gives you a way higher shot now of actually converting them when they remember your name. All right. A couple other quick side notes. Overall, the pipeline serves as a system of follow-up and an ability to predict the future. Those are the 2 big reasons why we're doing it. I typically do ask, do you currently have an organized pipeline? You should all be ranking your pipeline on a scale of 0 to 10, how well it's organized. I don't care if it's in command. I don't care if it's in your phone. I don't care if it's on a piece of paper. If you were in front of me right now and I said, hand me over your pipeline and let's take a look at it, is it organized and is it up to date? All right. we will get into follow-up here momentarily, but I did say I would share some numbers, and John, who is actually on the call with us today, is happy for me to, or allowing me to share his numbers, which we appreciate. So, John, when we first started, we were at 0 in your pipeline. I'm sure you had a pipeline yet. It was at 0 when we started, and let me just see what month that was. So that was January of 2020. Wow, that was a fun time to start coaching together, right before COVID hit. So it was 0. You had the goal of adding 5 to your buyer pipeline, 5 to your seller pipeline that first week. That should be, if you don't have a pipeline, that should be a minimum goal for everyone. John's pipeline right now, since January of 2020, is now at 100 and, let me make sure I'm right here, 170 people total. 170 people that he has targeted that he believes is going to transact through this next year. That if he does great lead follow-up, lead generation, he's going to be able to convert a significant amount. John also had 0, let me make sure I'm right. I think you had 0 pending deals. Pending deals, if you are new, that means deals that are under contract waiting to close. I'm sorry, you had 1 deal pending and your goal was to have another 2 by the following week. Right now, John has 30 pending deals. Let that sink in for a moment. When we track our pipeline, we grow it genuinely over time, we will grow it there. Now, I always want to be very transparent with everyone. John does have a significant, I shouldn't say a significant, a package of units in there, yet he has plenty of single units as well that he's selling as a part of that 30. So when we grow this over time, you can really see the ability. I mean, a lot of times, if we had 30 deals in a year, that would be phenomenal. John's got that pending right now. We're tracking his profit share pipeline. I thought I saw Nancy on here earlier. Nancy, that's something that I'm sure you'll be very happy to hear. But he's got 14 people in his profit share pipeline and 4 agents that he's targeting to grow his team with. Now, when we grow this over time and we report it weekly and we watch it daily, that's where the magic really is. So in the last 15 minutes here, I'm going to give you a couple ideas of how we're going to use the pipeline and how does it actually work specifically. So let me get back to my notes here. So we already talked about there is magic in the follow-up. The biggest problem that we have that a lot of agents come to me with is, well, Eric, I would love to put a pipeline together, but I don't need it because number 1, I already have it all memorized. I have 3 people, I'm all set. Number 2, Eric, is how often what's the right number of times that I follow up with somebody? Should I follow up with them, once a month, once a week, once every other week? Any ideas what my answer is to that? So I got to open back up the chat. Yes, thank you, India. Go John is right. Any guesses on what the answer is, how often we should be following up with our pipeline? Interactive session, guys. Somebody can make a guess. No good, bad, right, or wrong answers. Quarterly or bi-monthly? Thank you, India. The answer is yes for some clients and no for others. The reality is what we want to do is go through our pipeline, and often I would love that every coaching client and even myself would go through it every single day and scrub it and look at it and go, hey, here's Bill. I talked to Bill last week. He told me that, or I talked to Bill yesterday, and he told me that he's waiting to get financing. I think about him next week. I go to Bill's name again. I'm looking at it every day and I go, talk to him last week, and it starts to grow. We grow numb to it on Bill, or maybe 10 or 20 or 30 of them. The challenge that we have to get into is we have to understand eventually we have to touch base with them. I was having a conversation with Craig Ramsey about this because he's like, Eric, he's growing his pipeline. He's doing phenomenal things. He just put 14 buyers in the last 2 weeks. 14 buyers. Mainly, by the way, he got the majority of them through open houses. and he's warming them up and converting them and nurturing them. And the reality is, he goes, Eric, I'm growing numb like on these 5 buyers. What should I do? And I said, well, at least have a conversation with them. And we put a maximum amount of time that he's allowed to go without talking to anybody in his pipeline. So every single person, at least once a month, gets some type of conversation. Even if it's, hey, I was thinking about you. How are you? What's new in your life? What's going on? It could be a note card. It could be an email. It could be whatever it might be, but somehow he wants to make sure that he's refreshed in that client's mind so that when the time does come, when they're looking to buy, they remember his name. So we call that, though, scrubbing our pipeline. Often, if you coach with me, you'll know that we'll have a conversation once every other week, once every month, going, do we need to scrub our pipeline, yes or no? And that's really just a judgment of, have I really gone through it? Have I really touched base with these people, and have I actually done what I need to make sure that I'm not finding out they bought a house from Facebook, but I'm finding out they want to buy a house because I was having the right conversations at the right time. The biggest mistake I watch agents make is they just put a note in their calendar. And by the way, if you're maintaining 170 buyers with notes in your calendar, good luck. There's no way you could do that. Your calendar would have nothing but follow-ups all day long. And then, you know, let's say you schedule something for 3 months out, you're going to be on vacation, you're going to forget to follow up with them. We need just a list that we can monitor on a daily basis, take a half an hour, an hour. If it's 170 people, it might be a little bit longer, but we need to be going through those numbers and combing them from time to time and going, okay, here's what I can do to help. If you have it in command and you tag them pipeline, buyer, and seller, I love doing that because you can do a mass text to everyone. You can do a mass text for Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. If you're just wanted to check in, if you're thinking about real estate, give me a call. Like whatever it is that you can do mass, mass actions with them. All right. What else for follow-up? So there's 2 parts to follow-up. Number 1 is going to be doing the follow-up. Number 2 is doing it with value. At a basic minimum, we need to do follow-up. At a higher level, we want to be doing it with value. That's where the key really is. If you can get things of value to every single one of your clients in your pipeline, you will have a successful career. Simple as that. First off, we have to have the list. Secondly, we have to figure out how can we create value in these individuals' lives. We used to just do this around real estate, and we would go, all right, can we find new listings for them? Can we go and send them daily emails? Can we send them a daily text with new listings? You can do that. More importantly, there are 2 real reasons why we exist in the real estate industry. Number 1 is to solve problems. Number 2 is to manage emotions. Those, in my opinion, are probably the top 2 reasons why why realtors work with agents. If you were around when the MLS converted from the internet, from the MLS book to the internet, every agent feared that they were going to be out of a job because they thought their value proposition was held in that book. Here's all the listings of the homes that we have. And a lot of agents thought we would be out of business when that happened. That is not at all true, because obviously every listing is out there on realtor.com, Zillow, all of that. So why in the world do people still use us? Again, because number 1, we are solving problems in tons of different walks of life. And number 2, we are going to be managing their emotions, which is a really big value for them. So how do we manage emotions, and how do we convey that we're managing emotions and problem solving for these clients? We would go through each and every person and go, okay, Mr. Seller needs a plumber. So instead of just finding a plumber or looking in the yellow pages, what we do is we're going to actually be reaching out. First off, I don't have a plumber in that location. I'll go to our KWGM Facebook page, type in looking for a plumber in Cleveland Heights, find a plumber in Cleveland Heights. I will call that person and I will see how they react and how they respond. If he does not have any type of customer service, and I know that my client's going to need that great customer service, I'm not going to use that individual. I'll move on to the next plumber and the next plumber. And luckily our KW Facebook page is insanely helpful with giving us referrals for these types of trades or problems. Secondly, I don't just hand that phone number off to my client. I say, hey, I have found a local plumber that was referred by another agent in Cleveland Heights. I wanted to see if I could schedule a time for them to come out. Would tomorrow at 2 or 3 o'clock work better for you? If it's somebody that I don't know, or I'm sorry, somebody that's in a haven't met category, like a for sale by owner, I often will go, hey, I know that the house is vacant right now. I'm happy to meet them over there with you. Or I'm sorry, I'm happy to meet them over there on your behalf and give you the quote. Make their life easier and solve their problems. The amount of times I've converted for sale by owners and expireds by handling things like that, especially on vacant homes, the last thing a homeowner wants to do is go over there and deal with it. They're more than happy to watch an agent who's jumping in and solving problems like that. Another problem that they could have that could be very valuable is maybe they are looking to have their, I don't know, maybe their kid is excited about baseball. You would reach out to Nancy Emmerman, and she's got, her son has a great baseball, I don't know what it is, a baseball gym, if I'll call it for the lack of better terms, and offer them and say, hey, I was able to find this. I know your son is in baseball. Wanted to see if this would be any value to you. You can email that to them. Just show them that you care about their problems in any sort. If you can do it in real estate, great. If not, try and be a value in any walk of life. Any problem that you hear is an excuse to do follow-up. That should be something we all write down. Any problem we hear is an excuse for follow-up. Another great way to do this is not knowing the answers to questions at open houses, or not knowing the questions for when we're showing buyers. I'm not encouraging you to say you don't know the answer if you do. What I am saying is I absolutely love it when a buyer asks me a great question at an open house and I don't know the answer, because now all of a sudden I have the excuse to write them down in my pipeline and follow up with them on those problems. All right. We have 5 minutes left, and I do want to have a quick, if anybody has any questions or ahas at the end, we can do that. But let me see if I have any other. I do have this quick note, which we take a little bit more time in when we do this in a 2-hour session, but write this down: value plus touch equals success. Again, value plus touch equals success. And then I also, which we already talked about, always look for the excuse. I do have a whole list of items, like of value items that we can do. I believe that Shift into Overthrive, they call them MOFRs. And I forget what that stands for, if anybody can help me out on that, but it's more or less.
Make offer for immediate response.
Thank you. Make offer for immediate response. And that book was great because like it would just say, like, go to page 16 and here's your MOFR. Here's the offer that I can give. Here's the offer I can say, go find them expired. An open house buyer that can't find any houses for sale. The MOFR would be, hey, do you want a list of houses that are off the market? That may be a valuable item to them. Now you would have to do some scrubbing on that and all, but that would be something that would get an immediate response, a yes or a no. So that would be it. Well, we have 3 minutes left. Any ahas? Let's start there. Did anybody get any ahas and or any questions that I can help answer about your pipeline?
Eric, I thought you were stupendous, and you explained everything in a simple way that anybody could understand. We realtors have a lot on our minds, and my son's place is called D-Bat Solon.
D-Pad Solon. Leave it to Nancy. That she will make sure that she gets a sales pitch in there of some sort.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the kind words, Nancy. And I always intend to make it very simple. And yes, John Murchison is amazing.
Any other ahas? Anything that anybody is going to start doing immediately differently? Immediately.
Vice versa. It'll all work.
Value, touch, success.
Yeah.
Yeah. Often we're just trying to have a conversation. If we can take a 5-minute exercise, one thing I just did with another coaching client, I said, let's go through your entire pipeline, set the timer for 1 hour, And I want you to come up with one item of value very quickly for every single person in your pipeline. Set your timer and get it done in 1 hour, and then do the reach out of any sort. Organize better, Kathy. Absolutely. Find the motivated. Yes. Yeah, that's Tamara. One thing I didn't talk about is when we grow our pipeline big enough, I actually need you to wipe out some of it and get rid of the lower lying unmotivated people that have been in there for 3 years. And then the bigger problem is you felt all good because you had 80 people in your pipeline, but now you have 40. And we have to then refill it with people who are motivated. Absolutely. Well, very good. Well, I'm always here
So
to help.
Eric, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you say you're speaking about updating the command, that pipe, anybody that's in command, go through it and scrub. But pretty much what Gary talked about in the speech on Sunday is like really taking a deep dive into command, basically where your pipeline is or wherever else it is. But hopefully that's where it is, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely, if you're starting off, I just want to make sure anybody who is uncomfortable with anything, even if it's Excel, I want you to have clients to talk to, number one, then we can implement better and better systems. But your question is, can we, if they're already in command, you can, I was talking about mass actions.
Yes.
Is that your question?
Yes.
So yeah, on mass actions, there's a tab that you can click at the very top. I believe it's tagged mass actions. And then you can either do a text, an email. You could even just put a mass action for a note to call every single one of these people. Mass text all of them. One thing that we can do too is we have agents who will actually tag, like if they do open houses in Cleveland Heights, they'll do open house Cleveland Heights buyers. So they'll tag them as open house and Cleveland Heights. And then what they can do is actually tag or send an email for a brand new listing. So they'll take a PDF, put it in a text, and then mass text everybody in Cleveland Heights, here's a brand new listing that just hit live today. If you'd like to go see it, we can see it today at 2 o'clock. That's something I can mass text at anybody in Cleveland Heights. That's one example. I would cater it a little bit more closely, or I should say, make that a little bit nicer than what I just described there, but you get my point. That's what I'm talking about with mass text or mass emails.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Well, on that note, unless we have any other questions, I am all set. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you so much, Eric. Great call. Great stuff. Let's all go forth and build our pipelines. Let's do it. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks, everyone.